Clippers Nation, I definitely believe you guys would appreciate this very much so, very highly. Going forward, listening to Ty Lue's comments last night after the post game, to me, this is probably the best decision or one of the best decisions he's made as a head coach since being a head coach in the league. And it may seem minor to you, but it very well has a lot of value, for this team going forward and their chances of winning a championship if everything is put in place and if everybody's in the right place they're supposed to be. Now, what I'm talking about, you can also read a couple other sources, my sources, LA Times, of course, out here. And then, you can check out Clutch Sports, a few other ones. But regardless, Nicholas Batum is going to be in the starting lineup going forward. And Robert Covington is going to back him up in that forward position. And something, Clippers Nation, this is something that we've talked about. I've said it on the show. You guys have said it in comments over and over again as well. Marcus Morris, or at least a lot of you, maybe some of you disagree, which I respect if you disagree or agree. A lot of you have stated, including myself, saying that, Marcus Morris is not the answer in the starting lineup because he has moments where he plays very well. And this year, alone, he's had, he's played 65 games this year. And, he's averaged around 11 points, 4 rebounds. And, the last couple months, when you think about it, he's been struggling a whole lot, because right now he's actually at around 23%, from the 3-point line. And that's not something that you expect somebody making $60 million to do. You expect them to shoot a lot more formidable, a lot better, and with a lot more consistency. And that's not something Marcus Morris has really been since he's been on the Clippers. Now, other situations, you can debate that. But, if he was so good in other situations, he would have never had to come to the Clippers. He would have been where he was before. He would have won championships, prior or something like that. So, or been a part of championship teams prior. But I definitely think this is a good move for the Clippers because, first of all, Nicholas Batum can guard position 1 through 5. Robert Covington can guard position 1 through 5. And honestly, a lot of people are not talking about this part, but specifically when Rocco comes in the game, Robert Covington, I know what Nicholas Batum going to do. Nicholas Batum is going to ball out. He's going to hoop. He's going to guard. He's going to do everything you ask him to do. And he's going to do it as efficiently as possible. And he really actually helps, Kawhi and PG in regards to taking a load off them offensively, because instead of them dropping 30 plus points a night when both of them on the floor, with Nicholas Batum in the lineup, he's liable maybe not to have a game like he had, the other night against who did they play the other night? Yeah, the Bulls. He might not have a game like that, scoring 24 points, being the top leading scorer that night, but he will have games where he scores 15 plus. And he's definitely the type that can do that if he's given the opportunity, because the way he can stroke that corner three and the three from the elbow, that seems to be his favorite spots from what I can see throughout his career. But the way he can stroke that three consistently, it allows, Kawhi and PG, when PG gets back, it allows them to kind of like take off some plays, not be 100% locked in. On every single play, on offense, it allows their offense to flow better. But what I was also trying to say was this: when I think about Robert Covington coming in behind him, that would be great, because a lot of people might not be talking about it, but Robert Covington got traded from the Portland Trailblazers along with Norman Powell to the Clippers. So they're used to actually playing with each other and feeding off each other's energy in the lineup. And if Robert Covington is going to come off the bench with, behind Nicholas Batum going forward, which Ty Lue actually said that the other night after the post game against the Bulls, that would be great, because Norman Powell and Robert Covington have a chemistry built that they built with the Blazers in regards to both of them coming in, being serviceable players, playing at a high level. One is more inclined defensively. The other one's more inclined offensively, but both of them can do a little bit of both. Robert Covington can knock down threes the way Norman Powell can. He can't score the way he can, but he could definitely knock down shots. He's definitely a long body. He's definitely very good defensively. He's not a great on-ball defender, but he is a great all-around defender because, like I said, to me, defenders who have great instincts are better than just an on-ball defender. Their instincts are so good. They're good in every type of situation you put them in. They will excel, or they will do decent at the least. They wouldn't do no worse than that. And see, when I think about Robert Covington, that's a great decision, in which I said a long time ago they should have pulled the plug on Marcus Morris, but I think that's a great decision by Ty Lue. He must have been listening to the fans, listening to you guys, listen to me, listen to everybody, But I think it's a great decision because what it allows is when Nicholas Batum gets tired because he's older, you have a younger version of Nicholas Batum coming in right behind him in Robert Covington. And on top of that, as I said, Robert Covington has a lot of chemistry with Norman Powell because they came off the Portland Trail Blazers. So when Norman Powell comes off the bench as the sixth man, in which that's what he is, and when he comes in, if he's playing with Robert Covington, he's playing a lot more freer because he's playing with somebody that he already kind of has some chemistry built with. And on top of that, Robert Covington is the type of guy where, of course, he's unselfish. He's not really looking to score like that. But if there will be situations where Norman Powell will dribble into a double team and Robert Covington is, on the opposite end, he can knock down the three and they can keep it rolling that way. And on top of that, Norman Powell is not a stranger to defense himself. He's won a championship with Kawhi Leonard, so he knows what it's like to at least play defense to an adequate level that can, neutralize his opponent some, but he also gives it to you more on the offensive end as well. So it's a good balance kind of sort of with Norman Powell. I just need Norman Powell to, maybe pass the ball a little bit more, than what he does. Every time he gets it, he just takes a shot. I feel like he doesn't really think to pass often, but really he was kind of like that in Toronto too. But either way, he's definitely a valuable piece, and he's definitely won a championship. So, he's definitely somebody valuable to a championship type roster. But I definitely like the move. I definitely like what Ty Lue did. I definitely like the decision Ty Lue made because really it's been time. I mean, Marcus Morris, like I said, he's a good player. He has his moments where he looks really good, but it's not consistent enough for the money that he's getting paid. That 4 year, I think they signed him to a 4 year, $60 million contract at the time. He hasn't lived up to that contract to me. He really hasn't, because he's not, a superstar player or anything, but he's asked to go out there and consistently give, good numbers, but also provide good defense. And, I feel like he's, hit or miss with Marcus Morris. And I feel like that's where Ty Lue has come to in his mind and decision, in making his decision, because even though Marcus Morris was out, against the Bulls due to like an illness or something like that. But I feel like that was just, the icing on the cake for Ty Lue. Okay, Marcus Morris is out. Let me play Robert Covington. Let me play Nicholas Batum and see what he can do in regards to starting lineup, how he fits, even though we haven't had him in the starting lineup in a while. And if he fits well and Robert Covington comes behind him and fits well, which, Robert Covington definitely you can plug him and Nicholas Batum in anywhere. I think they'll be fine. And I felt like that really helped develop, Ty Lue's decision based upon that game of, them playing the Bulls and actually beating the Bulls with, Nicholas Batum scoring the most points, 24 points, being the high scoring man that game, which is definitely fine with Kawhi Leonard because, like Kawhi said in the post game too, it's good to have that type of, production from other players. And it's definitely useful and helpful in regards to, Kawhi, like, taking pressure off him, his knees, his back, everything, taking pressure off him, period. You know what I'm saying? It just takes a lot of pressure off him having to score every single time and, for them to be in contention. And I've always said before, Kawhi and PG shouldn't have to drop 30 points every single game for the Clippers to win. They got so much depth on that team. There should be games where Kawhi and PG have about 22, 21 points. And they still beat a team by double digits. They just have that good of a roster to me. And when you look at this team from top to bottom, it's really not much to like. It's really not much to not like about them in regards to what they have and how they can match up against other teams and be a mismatch towards other teams based upon the depth that they have. Now, I feel like, of course, when you look at the team now, they're trying to, fight their way into the playoffs, and sustain a playoff spot and all that, which I believe they can do. I believe they will. And just, run through Kawhi, they'll be just fine. As long as, Kawhi stays up and healthy and everybody else does too. PG will definitely come back. But PG coming back to this lineup with Nicholas Batum in there will help PG a lot as well, because it'll take pressure off him from scoring. And on top of that, Nicholas Batum and Robert Covington, they're swapping each other out. Well, damn, that's a lot of times Kawhi and PG might not even have to guard the best player on the other team. So that definitely saves a lot of energy for them on the offensive end, where it makes their offense a little bit more fluid, and it gives Kawhi a little bit of a breather along with Paul George. Now if they could focus more on the offensive end and just kind of like switch a little bit on defense, that's fine, because they got Robert Covington and they have, Nicholas Batum out there guarding other team's best player, and whatever points they give additionally between them two is, of course, is a plus. But it also, like I said, it takes pressure off Kawhi and PG of guarding the best players every single possession and scoring 30 points every single possession. It'll just tire them out that way. So this decision by Ty Lue is such a big thing, such a big deal. I don't even think he realizes how much of a big deal it is. So I'm definitely proud of that. And shout out to Marcus Morris, though. Like I said, he's definitely going to have his moments where he might come in off the bench here and there and, supply. But, I felt like Ty Lue said it the best. You know what I'm saying? It's all about sacrificing to win a championship. And he knows it. He understands it. And that's that. And I do believe Marcus Morris understands that. And I believe he's okay with it as well, because really he doesn't have much choice. And really it's been long overdue. But at the same time, I believe now the Clippers might be a little bit more equipped, better in place in regards to who's in the starting lineup and who's coming off the bench, between Robert Covington and Nicholas Batum. And I think it's all going to bode well for their future.